Day of action being held across the country at railway stations in protest at another increase in fares. These are the latest pictures coming in. This is from Waterloo station in central London, which the protests are taking a variety of forms there. I'm not exactly sure why those men are dressed in tuxedos, but basically this is commuters and the unions getting together to express their concern about this, because the scare is, the fright is, that a lot of tickets could jump by, well, over 10% after the government gave a green light to a price hike. Let's speak to Bob Crow. Bob's the head of the Union of Rail, Maritime and Transport Workers. Bob, just explain to me what form that protest is taking there at somewhere like Waterloo.
Well, basically the travelling public are being ripped off, and our members that work on the railways are being ripped off. Today you're going to see that fares from January can go up by inflation plus 3%. And what we're being told is that we've got to keep all of our wages down in the community. There are workers, for example, nurses and doctors and public sector workers who are getting no pay rises whatsoever. And some people are now paying 15% of their wages purely to get to work and home from work.
Yeah.
And it seems there's a law for the bosses who run the railways and different for everyone else.
But here's what I don't understand. Is that not good news for you and your members? Because it means if the government's giving the green light to this, that means there's more money in the kitty for the rail companies, which obviously means that for people working for them wouldn't be under as much pressure, one would have thought.
I've got to say, Aben, if we ask for an inflation plus 3% pay rise, we'll be told we're greedy. When the bosses do it, it's told it's good business. And we don't think it's right that our members have got to work alongside the travelling public all day and expect the travelling public to pay these exorbitant fares to get to work. The money's not coming to the workers in the railway industry. Where it's going is to the bosses in their form of shareholder dividends. And the fact is now is that we've paid, as a taxpayer, over £24 billion of subsidy to the train operating companies since the railways have been privatised. And the fares now are worse, but more importantly, the performance of the railway company is less now than when British Rail was privatised. And the only way that we'll get a decent railway service in this Britain is to renationalise the whole lot and let the railways run for the travelling public and not for a few elite people who are absolutely making a mint out of it.
Well, what do you think the mood for renationalisation is? You know what the government are going to say? They're going to say, uh-oh, can't do this because it's all about reducing the deficit, so you've got no chance of that. But what do you think the mood is like for that?
Ask the travelling public in January when their fares go up if they want the railways renationalised or not. But more importantly, it's strange, isn't it, that they can bring the banks back into public ownership when they go bankrupt. The East Coast Main Line, the service that runs from King's Cross up to Scotland, up the east coast of Scotland, is nationalised. It's being run by the government at the moment. The problem with this country is they're only prepared to nationalise a lame duck. What they should be doing is nationalising the white swans and using the profits to put back into healthcare and everyone else. If you renationalise the railways, you would save money for the taxpayer and you'd actually give more money to hospitals and schools and education.
In what way, though, are the railways white swans? Because a lot of commuters would say they feel they get very little for their money in terms of the service and comfort provided.
Well, number one, if you speak to the travelling public, what they want basically is a safe railway and they want a seat. When British Rail was in place, all you had was 2 tickets, peak and off-peak. Now you've got an whole range of different tickets. You've got Apex, you've got Super Saver, you've got something in the region of 20 different ticketing prices, which confuse people. What this lot want to do is shut ticket offices down, do away with guards on trains, do away with catering staff on trains, do away with 20,000 railway jobs, shut rural lines down and basically turn the railway into a businessman and businesswoman's railway where only the rich can afford to use it.
As opposed to, what are you proposing, Bob, and how would it work?
We're working with the community. This ain't a selfish campaign of railway workers trying to get a better pay rise. What we're about is defending the railway system for those who want to use it. We're concerned about those pensioners that want to see their loved ones in hospitals that can't afford to use the railways. We want to get people out of the car onto the railways so we stop this global warming that's taking place with carbon dioxide being thrown into the sky. But more importantly, we want a railway that serves the travelling public, not the railway that serves purely the bosses.
OK. What were those men dressed in dinner suits for? dresses a train toff or something it's called there at Waterloo. Did you see those pictures?
Well, number one, what you've got to recognise the fact, at the moment in time, 7 out of 100 trains are still not on time. That is less than what British Rail was doing some 14, 15 years ago, but British Rail was getting 75% less subsidy off the taxpayer. I mean, it's like walking into a fish and chip shop, Eamon, asking for cod and chips, and when you ask for the bill, they turn around and say, no, we're paying you to eat the fish and chips. This crowd are getting a subsidy, plus they're putting their fares up as well. And down the road here, we used to have a bleak person here called Buster Reynolds, who was one of the great train robbers.
Yeah.
This crowd are bigger train robbers than the great train robber he ever was.
Yeah, Phil Collins played him, I think, in that movie, didn't he, Buster?
That's right, and the reality is, at the moment in time, what we're seeing is the railways and passengers being ripped off. We're not a selfish union that's here just to look after the people that work on the railway. We're concerned about the people that use the railways and well, and what we're campaigning is with everyone, and we're going to put all these MPs behind the 8 ball now and ask them in the run-up to the next general election, where do you stand on the railways being nationalised and where do you stand with fares going up? And we're going to put them behind the 8 ball, and when their day of reckoning comes at the next general election, if the travelling public don't believe that they're getting a fair deal from an MP, they should get shot of them and put an MP in that is prepared to do the business.
Okay, Bob Crow, thank you very much indeed. We'll leave it there. Bob Crow's head of the RMT union, and he was down there at Waterloo Station. That's what he's had to say. We're trying to get the Transport Minister, Theresa Villiers, to see what she says in response. But after the break, certainly, we'll definitely be talking to Team GB dressage gold medalist